How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Pan Geekery podcast, season 3, episode 2. We are here on the newly rebranded Geekish Network, and as always, we are a live weekly video podcast celebrating all things geek from an all diverse perspective. What we do is we talk about TV, film, video games, books, comic books, everything covering all the nooks and crannies of fandom. My name is Earl Bayon. I'm an actor improviser based in Los Angeles, California, and the last game, I already said this last week. So the last show I watched was WandaVision. That's not exciting because we're talking about that right now. So I forgot to come up with something.
Besides that, like what was?
Besides that, besides that was Cobra Kai because let's do that.
Nice.
Because I was working on another geek.
Living and dying by way of podcast.
Yes.
By podcast.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Zhang. You could just call me Jen. And I'm an actor, writer, artist in LA. And my last show that I watched was also WandaVision. But the last show I watched of my own volition, I think, was Queen's Gambit.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Hey guys, my name is Caitlin. I'm an actor, a writer, a director, and a musician. And I was gonna say Queen's Gambit, but Jen already did, so I'll just say Bridgerton.
Did you really watch Bridgerton?
Yes, and you know, a lot of people watching today probably have watched Bridgerton too.
I know a lot of people are watching Bridgerton.
It is trending right now.
Yeah, I know nothing about Bridgerton.
I still need to catch up on The Expanse.
You will.
So The Expanse is my next catch up.
Actually,
Yeah, I need to join you on that.
I've been having Expanse watch party nights every Tuesday night, but
Nice.
we're barely on season 2.
I need to get on that.
Well, Andy, what's up, man?
Hey, my name's Andy Lowe. I am a director, producer, storyteller, puppeteer, fight choreographer, other random stuff. And the thing that I have... I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. So not what I've been watching, but what I'm obsessed with right now is Keegan-Michael Key's The History of Sketch Comedy.
I heard it's so good. I have not had a chance to watch it.
Is that a show? Or?
Yeah, it's basically a podcast show on Audible, more or less. He's kind of doing it like chapters, but it's literally what he
How
says.
far back does he go?
To the very beginning. It's really he's
like
talks a little bit about commedia dell'arte. He talks about even stuff that's like in Aramaic and or Greek Dionysus
I've
festival
heard of these
and
languages.
stuff.
Wait,
What? So Keegan-Michael Key is basically doing this kind of 30-minute episode, 11-episode kind of short audio piece on Audible that is him talking about sketch comedy. And he's kind of gets into the history of it. He gets into the mechanics of sketch comedy.
like
Right.
Greek theater
So
and
it's
stuff.
hardcore history, but like sketch comedy.
Yeah. And
Nice.
plenty
That's on Audible?
On Audible, yeah. I highly recommend it. I'm loving it.
For some reason,
Nice.
I thought you meant Key and Peele. I heard
That's him, Keegan-Michael
That's
Key.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
The taller dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The guy who's not Jordan Peele.
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
So anyway, this past weekend was the big game, and we had just a really quick mention. A whole bunch of trailers dropped, including Old, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Coming to America. I don't know if y'all have seen any of those. I've only watched the Old and the Coming to America trailer.
I did get to see the Falcon Winter Soldier when it looks great. It looks like a lot of fun, very buddy cop in the classic 48 hours or type of vein there.
So
Right.
question for those who are not very knowledgeable about the Marvel comics. So this is supposed to take place after the events of Endgame now, right? So like post.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this is after the events, spoiler alert, the events that happened with Captain America and how he basically is passing the torch.
Right. I think
Falcon.
all of these are going to be in that space, besides maybe Loki. But
Gotcha.
Well, actually, Black Widow is a bit
pre
of
also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I think everything else is in continuity in 2023, I believe, in the Marvel universe.
Dude,
Because
Black Widow is going to have
Jump
Florence Pugh, who is like amazing.
Oh,
So-
yeah, playing like
yeah,
with a Russian
I wanna watch
accent.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie has been
real
like
Russian
delayed
people.
like a year and a half now. something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. To say the least, there's a lot of stuff that came out during the big game. But I do want to move on to shouting out our digital branding and marketing partner, Digital Click, who is responsible for the cool new Geekish logo. Just want to shout them out really quick. And they're working on all the other Geekish Network podcast shows, things, deals here on the Geeks Network. But we have a lot going on today. First of all, we are going to be talking about His Dark Materials. We're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077 and WandaVision. Before we move into that, I just want to give a quick shout out to chat. What's up to Aaron and Nabis? What's up, Oddball? What's up? I'm just trying. Oh, and you all are in the chat already. Got it. Cool. So, you do hit us up on the chat, in the chat right now. Leave us a message, tweet us, Discord, every avenue that we have to get at us. Do so. Do.
Black
Don't
Pink
stop
song.
doing the doo-doo, or that might hurt.
I don't think if you stop doing the
Do the
doo-doo,
doo-doo.
that is a problem.
Do it.
Yeah, that's a problem if you
You should
stop
probably get
doo-doo.
that checked out.
So, without further ado, let's move into His Dark Materials. Season 2, episodes 1 through 4. General thoughts and feelings.
Specters.
Specters.
Actors. Well, should we do a recap
Breakdown,
of what?
yes.
Yeah, let's
do that,
recap.
please.
Who wants to go? Not it.
I'll do some.
Okay.
So, our heroes finally meet each other, right? Lyra
Right.
and Will finally converge because they both entered the fold at the very end of season 1. So now they have come to meet each other, and they get off to like a kind of rocky start. I think Lyra is. Again, everybody is, in some way, shape, and form, an extension of their traumas during childhood. So I feel like Lyra's reaction to meeting other people or trusting other people is largely like one-sided. She's very like go get her, and she'll like do everything on her own, but she also isn't quick to trust. But
Understandably.
Will-
With parents like hers.
yeah, Will, I feel like, comes from a position where he is the caretaker of his family and of his mom. And so his immediate response is to go like, what do you need? Can I make you an omelet? Can I help you on your
Made
journey?
like the first day.
With
he made an
eggshells
omelet.
in it.
No, she made the omelet with eggshells in
Yeah.
it.
So cute.
But also, they're in this deserted town, right? With
The
New
crossroads.
world, a different world from
different
the one
world.
that they come from. Yeah.
There's a name for the city, and I
I was
missed
gonna
it.
say, who can say the name? It's hard to. It's hard when you read
Alcatraz.
it. No, it's like a weird name.
It's a
it almost
really
looks
long
like
word.
Italian or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
a weird name.
The rest of the names in the tower is in Italian, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like they're on some kind of like a coast,
island.
but
like Santorini
King's
or
Island,
something.
King's
Yeah.
Landing type
Yeah,
thing where everything's like
King's
stacked. Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh
and,
man.
And in
And
this
then-
world, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and then in this town, there are only a kind of a small tribe of young kids who have basically the run of the town, and all
Including
the
Lady
adults-
Mormont.
Leanna Mormont.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude, so many Game of Thrones actors. There's like
Right.
Salador San. There's
Right.
Jeor Mormont. Now they've got Lyanna Mormont.
I mean, that's just kind of
Bear
like,
Island? Oh, what is
Bear
there?
Island. Oh, it's called Bear Island.
No, what if it?
Polar bear.
next.
Andy, is that why you're in Iceland right now? Like,
No,
I get colder the more I look at you.
I'm still at the
That's
bear
the
temple.
opening
I'm
of
on
the-
the
Oh,
other side.
gotcha.
I'm on the other side, along with Lord
Yeah.
Yormont, who is on the other side, who could not follow her
like
through, or whatever his name is, whatever.
Gior Mormont?
Mormont. What
Jeor
did I say?
Mormont. Say Yormont.
Mormont.
Lord Marymount.
Oh, like it's Spanish.
Thanks,
Yormont.
Yormont.
Yormont. Anyways.
Anyway, so in this world, though, the adults are largely not present because there is a dark presence called the Spectres, who are essentially Dementors who suck the life out of you until you're a non.
Your insides are out.
So,
But it only happens when you reach puberty, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
when you reach adulthood, which Will is almost at, but not quite. So he's safe for now.
What are they getting at here, and why do I vibe with it so hard?
It's weird because like there's too much coincidence.
I know. That's when my life started taking a downward turn. So I feel like
because puberty is when your demon like settles. That's when
it's true. I can track where my life just started going down the wrong trajectory, and it was at puberty.
Oh my God.
So, no, that's why I vibe with it. Sorry, go on.
No, it's all good. No, it's just the way you put it made it sound as if like everyone's life is ruined after puberty. It's true.
Sorry.
A lot of people's are though.
A lot of people are. Yeah.
I think
Rodney,
there is
why do you always mess up my
reckoning.
aspect ratio?
Oh no. The point of reckoning, I feel like, that they're trying to make with puberty, though, is like goes back to the question of sin in this world, right? Yeah. Of just like in Lyra's world, Mrs. Coulter believes that sin originates, or like the Magisterium believes that sin originates when people hit puberty and then are no longer able to backtrack or evil decisions or have pureness, right? So I wonder, it hasn't been explained yet in episodes 1 through 4, which we're covering today, how and why the specters have existed or have appeared. But they do explain that when Azrael, Lyra's father, tore into this world, that's when specters started arriving.
Like it was said that like they did exist, but like when the tear happened, like that's when the floodgates opened. Right. So there's got to be some kind of again,
Yeah, and what's
dust.
Really cool. Speaking of dust, Lyra makes a friend. Right? She goes to the Oxford in our world, and she's able to meet some kind of like astrophysicist Irish lady who
she's
just
a
so happened.
Astrophysicist.
Yeah, she used to be a nun.
Nun.
Coincidence? I think not.
No, it's poetic.
No such thing.
No such thing as coincidence in this story. So she used to be a nun, but she's now dedicated her life's work to trying to understand what dark matter in our world is. Are you guys having chills right now? Because I am.
Does everybody understand what dark matter is, like the concept of it?
Go on, Earl. You know more science than I do.
Actual dark matter or dark matter?
In our world, yeah. Well, nobody knows what it is, right? I mean,
the theory behind dark matter is like, there are a lot of calculations that theorize how much matter there is in the galaxy, and the visible, what we can see, like physical matter, only constitutes of like a very small percentage of what of the theoretical matter in the universe is.
What's everything else? We don't know.
We don't know. That's what the theoretical dark matter is.
But what's
basically
what's
the vacuum?
Okay.
It's not even the vacuum because the vacuum of space is empty.
It's just an absence.
There's still physical matter in the vacuum, but like
They're able to confirm the existence of dark matter because of the way that it interacts with other things. Even though you can't sense it by itself, you can see it affecting other things.
Right, like gravity.
It like pulls it in, or
like it still has gravity effect on the gravitational field. So there are like certain like star systems that you see where they should be revolving around each other, orbiting around each other one way, but it doesn't look right. The calculations are off because there's a theoretical dark object, or
This is getting really nerdy, you guys.
Though in this show though, they take dark matter and spin it with a more fantastical edge, right? So dark matter in this universe
it's so good. So good.
Chills up and down my body.
Synonymous with dust, right?
So good.
There's a chilling moment where the nun turned astrophysicist sits at her device and using the mental state that Lyra taught her about, which helps her read the alethiometer, she uses it on her own device and learns that dust is in fact signs of angels, and angels are conscious beings, and
they're the missing what not only are they the missing matter in the universe, they come for vengeance, which is by their own words, and there's now that we know there's angels that exist, like really exist in this world, what is the relationship to demons?
Right.
I don't know, but I'm getting chills. Goose pimples on my flesh. Yeah, like when they say, okay, the angel, it's their conscious matter, so they speak and they say, we help human beings along in their evolution.
Right.
And when the astrophysicist lady says, why? They say, revenge.
Then,
You know, and so I mean, skipping ahead, I kind of know where this is going. I think I won't say
I have
what it is.
ideas, but like I don't want to like
Okay,
project it
no,
too
Earl,
far.
what are your ideas? Like, what do you think the revenge is for? On whom or what?
But if we're talking about dust being original sin, and if we go through this all
Spoilers.
the way back,
Oh, okay.
all the way back to like, you know, actual biblical stuff. Original sin is a thing that humans have that angels don't, but also the source of free will, right?
It's also the source of our salvation, right?
Right.
Well, I'm getting triggered from like Adventist
I know,
school.
I know.
I know.
Because
This is what we're talking about, though.
In
But it's got
some
to be.
ways, yeah, redeemed man is supposed to have higher positions than angels.
Than even angels,
Right.
because we have free will. Interesting.
So I mean, it's an ages old theory, and you know that the angels are angry because they are second to God's creation, human. So
Lucifer himself was an angel.
yeah,
Fallen angel.
yeah, you're talking like the morning star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now,
Right.
Yeah.
what do you guys think of like this whole thing with like the subtle knife? I remember turning to Jen and being like, "This knife thing is coming from left field."
Well, okay.
there's a little bit of
Do we want
hinting.
to explain the knife real quick?
Well,
Go
okay.
ahead, Andy.
Oh yeah.
Or-
Oh, me? Oh,
Yeah.
well, okay. So in the Italian town or the Italian
It's
universe,
called the Italian town.
Italian
Santorini,
Something.
Azkaban.
Yeah.
right? we basically a number of things happen. So there's the dude from the Magisterium who has already had a portal that has been going back and forth between our world and their world, and has been kind of tracking Will's family, right?
Yes.
Has basically formed an alliance with Lyra's mother. And they have basically chased them into the town. And he basically gives Will a task after he stole the alethiometer. He gives Will a task to go retrieve a knife and bring it back to him, and he'll return the alethiometer. And you know, they go back into the town. They look at the big clock tower at the center of the town that has symbols of angels marked all over it. They find their way in, and at the top of the tower, they find General Zod.
This is true, but 80s General Zod, not Michael
General
Shannon.
Zod, yes.
Yeah.
Real General.
Actual
General
General
Zod!
Not that, not Man of Steel General Zod.
And General Zod is channeling his best Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade Templar Knight,
I know.
who is there guarding this.
Poorly.
And he's guarding this knife, and then one of the other kids who's about to hit puberty in the town has stolen this knife.
Stolen the
from him, and he's
knife.
kind of
Yeah.
Oh
going on a
man,
rampage.
really quick, thank you, Swamp Nola, for gifting those gift subs.
Wow.
Thank you.
Swamp Nola.
Thank you for gifting those 5 gift subs to the network. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Paper Tiger Hunter. Oh no, never mind. That's it.
So anyways, there's a fight.
I'll tag on
There's
to
a fight.
that. Oh, go ahead.
And they get this knife, and as he trains Will in the knife, we discover this knife is the sharpest thing in the world. It can cut anyone in a like butter, and it's so sharp it actually can cut into reality.
There are 2 sides to the
he
knife.
now has a
Two
portal.
blades.
Yeah, it's like a
2
double.
edges.
So like, isn't one half of the blade? It's like this. It's got almost some kind of like blue phosphorescent material or whatever.
Oil
It's
stick.
it's like a Damascus like layered.
Right.
Yeah.
And Lyra, interestingly enough, she says, I recognize that that material. That's what was on the like oblation machine that was slicing the kids' demons
Right.
from their bodies. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that side of the knife, can that separate demons as well? Or like,
I mean, that's the theory. That's what they're seeding,
yeah.
right?
And then the other one can open up a portal, which, by the way, was really cool because when when he opens up a portal, he cuts the thin air and he says you can see strings. Notice how in the beginning of the show, every time there's like opening credits, you see like strings,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, and then you can see worlds within the strings. And then
Right.
it like kind of gives a whole new meaning to like string theory.
theory.
You know what I mean? I was like chills up and down my body. Feeling the chills. And it was so funny because they kept saying the word bearer. He's the bearer, the bearer. And I turned to Jen. I'm like, there is a bear. They keep saying the word bearer. So this show is all about bearers and bears. Because there's
Bearers and bears.
There's bears, and then
Bearer of the
there's a
bear.
bear, and then there's bears.
Lord
There's
King of the Bears and the bearer of the lithiometer.
Just bears. Yeah. That's why there's polar bears.
Yeah. It is
Damn.
very unfortunate that Boreal has taken the alethiometer, but again, like he has been kind of manipulating in the background, right? So like he's never shown his face to either like Will or Lyra prior to this moment, I think strategically, so that like they could at least trust him enough to enter his home, you know, for the time being. And that's how he was able to, you know,
Is he doing it? Are he and Mrs. Coulter? Is there like something going on there?
I think he's trying to push it. He's trying to get on that.
I wasn't sure. I looked up online. Apparently, that is in the books as well. So I was like,
is it unilateral? Is it like one-sided?
I think they're both. I don't know. I didn't want to spoil it too much for myself, but there's like some kind of implicit understanding.
That little
going on there.
Little demon.
Glint in the eye. Yeah.
Little demon heavy petting going on there.
Yeah, and I was like, interesting.
It was Caitlin that brought it up to me, how Mrs. Coulter seems like she's trying to seduce everyone, right?
She's always seems this close to people.
This close, like, and like, with the cardinal.
Yeah.
Which was like, uncomfortable as shit. Yeah. All up in.
You're a mother. Chill out.
The new cardinal, she don't care.
I know.
She has things to do.
Yeah.
She's just a close talker.
Yeah. She likes to get close when she talks to
Part
people.
of it is also like she understands her power as
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like in all the spaces that she enters, like she carves out her own space.
Yeah, because in the world that she's from, I don't think women really have nearly as much power.
No.
It doesn't
actually,
look like
there's there's the scene where they where the witches send their emissary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there was a lot of subtext in that scene just about anything these witches do is just straight up heresy.
Evil, yeah.
Isn't it cool that now I know why there are witches in this story at all? Because Philip Pullman was he was pulling from history and the kind of ostracization of like outlier women who were deemed witches.
Or like, outlier religions too.
Or really,
like
witchcraft, paganism.
Yeah.
Anything that's away from like the mainstream, basically.
Because I was like, these witches are random. Like, I get it now. I get it.
Now, one thing that I do find interesting, right? So we keep talking about kind of these threads of atheism or agnosticism in the themes of the show. I find our dark matter scientist really fascinating, though. Right?
What's her name? I
can't remember her name.
I missed it. I forgot her name.
But in her, we have basically an argument for faith over institutions. Right, that her acts of faith, or pure faith, are truer.
Malone. Oh, you got it.
That's right.
Dr. Malone. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
Pure faith in the sense of like faith in her own abilities to like question, or like faith in Lyra, or what specifically?
Well, I think faith in general, even in like a higher power.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Then that exists.
I mean, actually, we do see it. We
They're here for you guys.
Yeah,
yes,
and we see it kind of in her. We see it in Lin-Manuel's character, like his faith in Lyra. We see, actually, like Lyra's ability to kind of read the alethiometer, right? It's like it's kind of her purity of heart, right? So there is this kind of they're kind of setting this theme broadly across.
Right.
What I thought was interesting as well is, and I read this actually isn't in the books. There's that scene between Mrs. Coulter and Lee Scoresby where, like, Lee Scoresby is just, he's gotten the shit out of him. And then he talks about his dad and how his dad, like, abused him. And then he looks at Mrs. Coulter and he's like, I know you were the same way too. And Mrs. Coulter just gets this, like, oh, fuck look on her face. And then she lets him go.
Been sussed out for the first time.
Yeah.
And she lets him go. I was like.
But it makes sense. It's like.
Their watch is similar at that moment. She recognizes that he can protect her.
Right.
Similar interests at this given time.
Yeah, but also, like, it's a commentary on, like, how do these people turn out so evil? Because, like, the sin is inherited from the tradition of the parents. So thematically, it's just kind of a beautiful way to comment upon like sin, behavior, mental health, parenting. Lyra's, she's out on her own in the world because she's breaking away from the institution of authoritarian, totalitarian type parenting,
This conversation, it almost makes sense because, like, if you think about it, like, where else would Miss Coulter be confronted by this past of abuse, by her past? Like, where else? Because, like, she's surrounded by the magisterium. Nobody's going to talk about that, and it's just the first time. It seems like it's the first time she's ever been confronted by it.
Called out.
Yeah, called out.
Did you guys notice how? Remember, there's like a trial or something, and then the doctor who's like with the witches, they're asking him about his upbringing, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, like my mom like left me with the witches." And then the guy who's like presiding, he's like, "What kind of woman would leave her child?" And then Mrs. Coulter gets like hella triggered, and like she does not like that. And it's like, where do you guys think they're going with Mrs. Coulter's character? Isn't she confusing?
She is confusing at all times, but I almost think that's purposeful. That's purposeful.
Do you know what was also really interesting is going back to the Lee Scoresby kind of torture come to understanding scene, right? Is you watch the monkey, her golden monkey is such a trip to me because you can see that the monkey is like, oh, we're being merciful now?
Right.
Really? And and you can see like a monkey gets excited or she's been triggered, she goes and stands and she close talks the wall, right? And she's like this to the wall, and the monkey just kind of comes up and just kind of reaches for her hand, and she doesn't reach back, she doesn't squeeze back, but the monkey's just trying to like reach out to her, which was such a cool, interesting scene.
I'm still trying to understand what that relationship is and what the difference is between her demon and everybody else's.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up online. I don't know if you guys want to hear it.
No, it's alright.
Spoilers.
It's alright.
It's not. Well, here's the thing. It's not a spoiler. I just don't know if it's 100% clear, or maybe they're going to clarify it later.
Okay.
Maybe we'll just wait. Yeah.
We'll probably wait on that.
Yeah.
I was gonna
like, is it just context? I mean, I'll take context.
I think the context behind it is that it's supposed to represent like the conflict within herself and how she's cut off from her own soul. Does that make sense?
But there's not like anything deeper than there.
That's what I mean. I don't know if there's anything deeper than that. That's why I'm like, I'm not sure if it's a spoiler, but I don't know. Maybe they will elaborate on it more. The show's not over.
Right.
So yeah,
because it feels like there's so much more.
I feel like there's something there. Yeah.
Right.
In the
maybe that's just like the writer in my head. Like, but like
you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
In the theme of parents leaving their children, though, both Lyra and Will have had parents who have left them.
Right.
Somewhere.
Yeah. Ooh, are we going to talk about Andrew Scott?
I was going to get to that. Yeah.
You mean Moriarty?
Yeah. Moriarty. John Perry is alive and well.
The priest.
In Lyra's original world, actually, and has gotten a demon. He just hasn't been able to find his way back. It's not as if he hasn't really wanted to go back, but he's developed this kind of weird passive resignation
monastic
about the world. In some ways he recognizes that he still has a part to play. He's developed some kind of like witch-like powers.
Yeah, he's a shaman now, and he's able to call on the wind, right? Or shaman.
Question.
Yes.
So where is he originally from? He's from our world.
Our world.
Presumably,
he's from our world.
Presumably,
and then he made it over to the other world to the point where he got his own demon?
Yeah, he was unable to go back, and eventually the demon found him, and then he realized...
But wasn't there a little bit in the first season that talked about, like, his father being from another world?
That's why I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah.
So,
like, he's originally from the demon world, and then, like...
Yeah.
He came over
See, that would make sense.
Because he's the one who created the rift, if I'm not mistaken. I thought that was the case,
right?
but...
Yeah, because they found, like, his head, right? Because he was missing... Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have to read up on that, just as a refresher. But I thought that was like a point covered in the first season.
Right.
It's not clear, I feel.
So what do we think about? We've been talking about new characters. What do we think about the story so far? Like where it's going?
I love it. I find it fascinating.
I like it. Again, there were some parts where I was like, But to be fair, I think they did that in the last season too. The only reason it didn't affect me so much is because I already knew where the story was going.
Right.
But like episode 4 of the last season, I would have been so confused. I would have been like, polar bears, witches, American cowboys. Like, what the heck is happening? So
A lot of stuff going on.
I think, it's just they throw a lot of. It's like an anime, right? They just start throwing a lot of stuff at you. But I think it's timed together pretty well.
The country of Texas still cracks me up.
The country of Texas. When he said that, I was like,
I love that.
but it's almost
Texas
it makes
could be a country.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think about like what are all the
Like, what is
real
this
life or
alternative
our
world? Yeah.
right, exactly,
like,
our
country.
analogs.
Oh, we call those this, and we call
Yeah.
them that.
Yeah,
It's
like
interesting.
electronium.
Oh yeah, that was a cool scene too.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
I just want to point out one thing, and then we'll move on. Is that I was during the scene where Professor Malone is like actually sitting and working with her like tech alethiometer, and when they finally talk about the whole angels things, like all this like sacred geometry and like
The
Perfect way to
Iching.
put it.
the
Yeah,
I
that's
Ching
right.
stuff, but like also like which sacred geometry, like Metatron's cube, like shows up on the screen. It's crazy. Like so, they're probably going to start bringing like old Enochian in and like all this
Archaic.
crazy stuff.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
He's like
I'm so
archaic
excited.
signs, right?
right.
Like esoteric kind of signs.
It's going to be interesting.
I should warn you because I read online. Apparently, this season was shot like they finished right as the pandemic was happening.
Oh shit.
And they were trying to film the last episode. That's why there's not going to be a lot of what's his name, Lord Asriel in this, because they were trying to film the last episode and then the lockdown happened.
Oh shit.
So they were just like, "Fuck, we can't do this." So a
It's
lot of
going to
people
be
are
like
saying,
curtailed, right?
yeah, they're saying that the second season like ends very bizarrely because it's not finished. Like it
Right.
just they weren't able to finish the last episode. So just
Okay.
warning you
All
guys.
right.
Nice. Well,
Keeping it in mind.
I'm
yeah.
still excited, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah.
It's
Me
Yeah.
too.
it's very well woven. The world building is still.
I
mean,
know.
the world keeps getting bigger, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because there are more worlds now.
That's just
Yeah.
That's
What would
the,
your guys'
Track of them.
what would your guys' demons be like if you had one?
You mean my Patronus?
Yes. Things to think about, right?
Right. My Patronus is a raven, according to Pottermore.
Oh, mine was like an otter or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's terrible.
Anyway.
Asking the important questions.
Yes, yeah, the important
Yeah.
questions. Let's
Yeah.
move on to our next subject. Cyberpunk 2077. The darling of the pre-order darling of last year, maybe? I
Pre-order,
don't know.
darling.
Yeah. 8 million
The
pre-orders.
whirlwind romance.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so this is the new AAA game developed by CD Projekt Red, which is the same company that brought you the Witcher franchise, which was met with great acclaim. And this was a game that we have been waiting for nearly 8 years, right?
Right.
Just about. So this game had been projected for a very, very long time, and it had already been pushed back. And during the pandemic, as soon as it hit, it got pushed back even further. So when it was finally arriving, there was so much promotional material surrounding it, and it got everyone so hyped up. We all bought the game, including me, including Earl. And I bought it on PS4, which was very dumb of me. But
You had no idea. You had no idea.
I had no idea.
I didn't
Yeah.
know what was coming. But alas, when it released, it was riddled with bugs, issues
no.
with loading, installation, random clothing bits flying everywhere, lanes not being right, the same person walking down the street 5 times, just, different things. The game's shutting down, game's not saving. So
Right.
a lot of the stock for CD Projekt Red plummeted.
I am going to say that like a lot of that stuff was mainly on the last gen consoles. Like I played on PC, and I was largely bug free except for like graphical stuff. So I don't know if my experience is typical of people. I mean, there were things, but nothing was ever game breaking for me. So
Right.
the bugs were more funny than not. But
Yeah.
either way, it was a little disappointing for a lot of people, and just judging by the response, the YouTube response, it spawned so many memes. Should we talk about like what it's about?
I was gonna say, like, just so for someone who is not indoctrinated,
Right.
what's like the elevator pitch version that explains this game?
It's about cyberpunk.
It's about cyberpunks.
Yeah.
So basically,
cybernetic.
it's about a character named V, and they can be
V?
V. Yes.
V for what?
It's just it could be either the male version is Vincent, I think.
No, remember last episode we were like V for
V for vagina.
for
Yes.
virginity.
For vaginator.
Never mind. Trying to call it back.
Sorry,
Go on.
I didn't catch your pitch. I didn't catch your pitch. The character V, and they can be either it's the player character, so they can either be male or female, and their quest to become like famous or just live really in Night City, which is a mythical city existing in 2077 that is supposed to be in the central coast of California. So.
A lot of things are recognizable or at least comparable to Los Angeles. I
Right.
will preface everything by saying that eventually I bought Cyberpunk again on PC, and it's been running much better, but the game has crashed on me plenty of times.
Has it?
I don't go a single playthrough without it crashing.
Ouch! That's rough.
It's terrible.
But
Now, is this is it an RPG? Is it like a story like shooter? Or
Yeah,
or
tell
what?
us the story.
It's a first-person shooter RPG. Like if you could imagine that. So if you think about like Mass Effect, that kind of game engine and or feel, without the pause button that is like an earmark of like the Obsidian or like.
you have to acknowledge how big this world is, because they were extremely ambitious in the building of this world, and I can see why, there's certain things that like may not have been finished or may not been as tied neatly in a bow as they would have liked, given the time frame that they had. However, the world is so expansive, so much so.
It's huge.
You are able. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You are able to take on so many story side quests, right? Currently, I haven't finished the game, but
You haven't finished it yet?
I haven't. No, because I'm pacing it
Shame.
out for my stream.
Oh,
But
got it.
so far, I'm very drawn in by the story. Are we able to spoil some key elements of it?
Sure. I mean, like it's been out for like over a month, so I'm doing it.
Okay. So the main crux of the storyline is that you are kind of like the scrappy, do the gig, sometimes illegal sort of person making their
You're
way.
basically like a
in
bounty
Night City.
hunter, but
Yes. But essentially, you get tied up into this job in the prologue that asks you to steal this very, very priceless chip that has consciousness embedded onto it. And you don't know like the origin of this chip. You're not really taught like what exactly it means, but you do witness the murder of the crown king of Japan in front of you.
No.
And the murder of the king of Japan gets pinned onto you. And the chip starts degrading in quality as you steal it, because so many things go wrong and people fire at you that you end up having to embed the chip into your own brain. And the turn of the story as everything begins is that you realize that you have been corrupted with the consciousness of Keanu Reeves' character.
right.
And
Oh,
essentially,
Keanu.
It's going
So
to
he's
take you-
constantly with you.
he's constantly with you in your brain, but
Whoa.
but
Whoa.
whoa. But his consciousness means that your body and your mind will disintegrate, and you will start becoming ill until you eventually die. And there's no known cure because this is like a new technology.
Right. So it's completely
Wait,
experimental.
so what's the fun in that if you know you're gonna die?
Well,
Or will
they
it?
put you on quests that like give you some kind of like possible out, some way to like to find a cure or find a way to get this
out.
chip. I'm not going to say what exactly happens because there are multiple endings, and you can make several choices that lead you to one ending or the other. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I mean, other than the bugs, I think the story is a lot of fun. There are, I know for a lot of people, there were not as many romance options as they would have liked, but
Yeah, there are romance options. I was going to say there are many like intricacies to the world itself. There's this concept called brain dances, right? Which are essentially like VR experiences, except you actually get transported to the alternate reality and live the thing as it is recorded from the perspective of the person.
It's like the Animus.
What?
You know?
It's like an Animus in Assassin's Creed. So you re-experience this as this person did. So feeling, touch, like
even if you
all
get
sensations.
killed, you feel the same fear.
Right.
So this becomes a very interesting crime-solving tool. Essentially, Judy, the character who introduces you to brain dances, gives you this
Judy is
power
bae.
of being. I know Judy is bae.
Is that the chick with multicolored hair who's like really
Yes.
sexy with tattoos? Ooh.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
She's
So-
my bae too.
She essentially gives you the ability to rewind and play forward the scenes, like isolate the audio, look at certain items. So you become kind of a detective in this world, like very similar to like Witcher 3, where Geralt in some ways in the game also gets to play detective in the world, So I feel like the trajectory of V is also following a very Geralt-like path of like, we're kind of anti-heroes, and then the more we do, the more we actually end up saving the day or cracking the code.
The interesting thing about these brain dances, at least to me, is that you can't for these to be accurate or like good, it seems you can't CGI them. So they are filmed through somebody's eyes.
Yes.
So you're essentially replaying somebody's exact experience of a certain happening, and which means if you can think about the breadth of things that people watch online. You think about Rule 34. Everything exists, for in brain dance form. So snuff, porn, VR, like all that stuff. And there are people that are
There's
creating
black
this
market
stuff.
brain dances. Yeah.
In Night City. So it's kind of nuts. Like there's this one. I'm not even gonna say it. Because I don't think you've gotten there yet,
But
Jen.
you will.
Okay.
Because I'm 112 hours into the game.
Oh my
and
god.
I'm like close to the I've maxed out everything. I've finished pretty much all the side missions except for 2. So I'm deep into it.
I will say, as with all worlds and as with Game of Thrones, sex workers play a huge part in this world
the dolls,
as well.
right.
Because, sex work in this
Joy
world
toys,
of
I should say.
cyberpunk is very complex. They can actually offer like a variety of different experiences, including therapy, if you so chose to.
Yeah,
and
you
the
could
dolls themselves can actually be programmed to download your exact interests and wants and conversations and abilities to be on par with you. They become essentially your perfect partner, And there's a really tragic thing that happens to one of the people who was your informants in a previous mission. That actually really triggered me because there's warning, self-harm, suicide.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot.
If anything, you can think about the seedy underbelly of like this existing world. It all exists in Night City, like copiously. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Some of the stories and the side missions that you go on, they're freaking tragic. They're sad, and it's like
very tragic.
I can't believe I'm experiencing this right now.
I did River's side mission, and that was really dark because it involved him busting child trafficking.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I totally tried to kiss River too. I try to kiss everybody.
I romanced both Judy and River. I am not ashamed.
I tried everybody I came in contact with. River was not about it, by the way. River was not about it.
Oh.
So I will say, so this kind of dovetail into the one thing that I did know about this game before this conversation, in that an article popped up recently about how the creators of the game had been putting out like letters and notices to players, particularly players who have access to the mod packs.
Oh, yes.
Please stop having sex with Keanu Reeves.
Oh,
gosh.
Right.
You knew that was going to happen, though, because like...
Why can't you have sex with Keanu Reeves, though?
Because as you can... well, no, you are Keanu Reeves and then you have sex with other people.
So you can have sex with yourself?
No, I mean, with these mods you can.
People are modding the game
yeah.
so that you can sleep with Keanu Reeves' likeness. Even though
Is there something wrong with that?
No, I mean,
Well, I mean, it's a real person's image.
Oh, because he's
So
real.
I mean, it does.
So it's like weird.
It brings up a.
okay, yeah,
It's a moral
okay, kind of
conundrum.
weird, deep fake, like
Okay,
conversation.
ew. All right, never mind. I don't know why I asked that. I was
Actually,
like, what's wrong with that?
If we're talking,
What about my fantasy?
I mean, we talked about this like last time with the whole.
Oh, with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, the whole Wonder Woman thing. You know, you have control over this person.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know why anybody was surprised. I mean, as soon as the first time I logged on to the Cyberpunk subreddit, that was the first thing that happened. How to turn one of the dolls into Keanu Reeves or something like that.
Oh.
And I was like, of course.
Wow.
Why am I
CD
surprised?
Projekt Red had to go like, please stop having sex with Keanu Reeves. Like, please stop.
Jesus.
I was gonna say, yeah, it very much holds true to like cyberpunk as a genre, right? Like high tech, low life. People, I mean, it leans even more into like corporate beast is oppressive, and the underlings have to basically resort to crime in order to get any kind of way. People are basically cyborgs. Everyone is a cyborg. You work to make money so that you can buy yourself new cyborg parts that
Right.
like give you any number of abilities, like heightened tech. You hack,
Double jump. Yeah.
double jump. You can hack
Wireless
into people, into cameras, into turrets, into machines, into bank ports, so you can steal money. It's very actually fascinating as a world.
It's fascinating. If this it's almost sad that if, because of the way it was received and just the general attitude towards CD Projekt right now, right now, if this story and this world were to just, to disappear after this entry, it would suck.
I
It
hope
would
not.
suck.
I actually really enjoy it thus far. I admire what they were trying to do in the same way that I admire like Cloud Atlas, or just
For
like
what it tried to do.
any like Wachowskian endeavor on that level. If you're that ambitious and you tried for something, like full respect to that, dude. Like
Right.
I love it.
I think it's good, and there's a lot of replay value. Not a lot, but there's replay value. There are three different archetypes you can choose. There's nomads, corpos, and street kid. So you can go through all that. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of hours. I mean, I think the thing with this, something like this, a huge AAA title, is they're going to iterate on these patches, and they're going to continue releasing patches until hopefully it's like satisfactory for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you are not playing it now, I think it's definitely worth looking at least in the next coming months to see where they are with regards to patches.
Totally.
Yeah. Anyway, without further ado, let's move on to WandaVision, which is a new show on Disney Plus, having to do with Wanda
And
Vision.
and Vision. I wanted to say Scarlet Witch, but this
Look at that.
technically not Scarlet Witch because Marvel can't use it.
That's right.
So
Oh God.
Well, no, they can now.
can they? Oh, you're right. They can now.
But
Yeah,
but
they can.
But they do
I mean, I'm not going to
acknowledge.
say anything.
They do acknowledge that she has not been.
Named that
Yet.
in
Yes.
episode 4, I think.
Yes.
But yes, does anybody want to break it down real quick?
I can take a stab.
Sure.
How non-spoilery are we trying to be? Because that's very
I
hard
think
with
as
this
long
show.
as we-
I haven't seen the latest episode.
As long as we like go up to episode 4, I think we're
Yeah.
safe. Yeah.
So there's a lot that is yet unknown. And one of the things that's great about this show is that it is very experimental. Like, I mean,
I love it.
This is like, honestly, it is an attempt at art in a high pop culture medium. In my opinion.
Is right.
So it's kind of hard to kind of button down of what is it about. We still don't know what it's about entirely, and the world that they've created still leaves so much room for it to not be about what we think it's about right now.
Right.
So in with that said, what we see in the first 3 episodes is familiar characters. Wanda Maximoff, who is an ex-Sokovian.
Former Avenger.
Ex-Sokovian. What?
Yeah. Former Avenger.
former Avenger, or probably still Avenger, but just
Right.
Needs a big break after Endgame, and all of the losses that she has faced. Both losing her lover in Vision, as well as her brother in the battle of
Sokovia.
In Lagos, and of course, her whole country of Sokovia. Oh no, that was in Sokovia. She has basically found herself in what appear to be classic television sitcoms. We have an episode that basically takes on tropes of the 1950s, like Dick Van Dyke Show and I Love Lucy. We have a episode that takes on tropes of Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. We have another episode that takes on the tropes of 1970s sitcoms, like the Mary Tyler Moore Show and the Brady Bunch. And it is unclear how much free will anyone has in participating. It is unclear how Vision himself is alive, and it is unclear how...
Or if Vision himself is alive.
Or if he's alive. And it's also unclear if Wanda does seem to have power over this world, but whether or not that is intentional or not is still unclear. By the time we get to episode 4... does someone want to take on episode 4 where things become a little clearer?
So what we find out is that it's a pocket dimension that Wanda may. Yes, exactly.
Cut with a knife into another world.
She did, but her knife were her hex bolts,
yes.
And
Damn.
Yeah, well,
she's not Scarlet Witch.
She's not. Yeah. No, she's Scarlet Witch in everything but name at this point. I mean, like the power level, all that stuff, and she's. We find out that the pocket dimension has it's under her control, definitely, but like it's broadcasting out this signal as a sitcom, a series of sitcoms, or a sitcom that's going through the decades.
Channel.
Yes, as a channel,
and it's being broadcast on what is it? A radiation signal that is radiation that dates back to the Big Bang. What it is like
able to access that though.
Well, that's not entirely accurate. It's they find a lot of CMBR coming out, which is cosmic background radiation, but overlaid over the CMBR, they find another signal, another wavelength, and that's what the TV signal is.
That's what the character. What's her name?
Darcy.
Cat Dennings. That's pretty cool.
Cat Dennings.
Cat Dennings
from Two Broke
Girls.
Girls.
Yes.
Darcy.
Who you might know from. She was in. She's actually a recurring character in the Marvel universe. She first showed up in the first Thor. She was one of Jane Foster's
interns.
Her interns.
And now she's a doctor.
Oh, wait, Natalie Portman's?
Yeah, one of Natalie Portman's interns. Yeah.
Interesting.
Gotcha. So, like, the funny spin-off, like, the internet has gone crazy over, like, potentially making a Jimmy Woo, which is Randall Park's character,
I would love it.
I would love spin-off.
It.
So the guy
apparently
writing the pitch,
getting pitched.
The guy writing the pitch is one of the guys that me and Earl have played Among Us with.
Who?
Oh, no way.
You don't know this? Wait, it's one of Yoshi Sudarso's friends. Sean, what's his name? I forget.
You don't know his name. Yeah. Some guy who's pretty big.
Rodney will attest that I have no idea who I play Among Us with. So.
God, there have been some people. Anyway, but
I know Yoshi, and that's it.
So one of Yoshi's
Sean Ford.
friend.
There we go. So
Who?
Sean Ford. Sean Ford.
Oh, the common writer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, that's one thing. So Jimmy Woo actually shows up. He's actually come to this town of Westview because he has someone who's in the witness protection program who went offline, or like they lost track of him. So he, of course, who we've seen in the Ant-Man films, comes to Westview and finds that the police officers of Eastview are standing right there in front of the town and don't know what Westview is.
Don't know what Westview is.
So he's
it's a very Twilight Zone-y type.
This entire series has got
It's
that
very
vibe.
much Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I love it.
Meets the Truman Show. which is what
I was gonna say, like, this is like the Truman Show.
We
I
should
think it's even
also-
crazier than that.
We should also mention that we are introduced to the organization SWORD.
Sword.
Also from the comics, but they've renamed it. I believe it's now stands for Sentient Weapon Sword. SW.
Organization.
Observation and Response,
Division. I don't
You're a
know.
nerd if you know all of this.
which is different because basically in the comics, SWORD was kind of the space version of Shield, right?
Right. Sword and shield.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ah. But they do make a reference because Monica Rambeau, we see Monica Rambeau after
Who is from
that's
Captain
a
Marvel.
fantastic scene.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we saw her as a little girl.
Yeah, Captain Rambo. Monica Rambo. That's the daughter, and yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Monica Rambo.
Oh, because I was in the 90s.
Yeah. So Monica Rambeau is the daughter of Captain Marvel's best friend.
You were talking about the mom. I was
Because
like,
it
why
was
should I
like
care about
80s,
this mom?
90s,
I
right?
don't know this mom.
Yeah, like 80s, 90s. So it's her grown up. Yeah, it's her.
You find out her mom actually is was one of the founders of SWORD.
Oh, sword. Right.
Which
That's
apparently
right, because her
used to be
grandmother-
all this space response stuff, but they have since switched over to sentient weapon response.
Right. And her purpose in the story, at first you don't know who she is because she's like another character in the sitcom world. And then you realize she actually entered Westview from the outside, like first as
Right.
an investigator.
Right,
And
yeah.
then somehow, they haven't explained it yet, but somehow she's now playing the part convincingly of
Like the
like a
new
housewife.
girl. Yeah.
But Wanda consents after like she slips up and goes like, "Oh, Ultron killed your brother," right? And that's like the first introduction that Wanda has of like the outside world infiltrating her like fictional reality, you know, and she ends up blasting Geraldine slash what's her name again?
Monica Rambo.
Monica, yes, out onto the yard. So yeah.
The interesting thing is, like, this is the first time that, you know, in not Endgame, but Infinity War, we see the snap, right? The blip. And half of all existence just disappears, turns into dust. This is one of the first times we see the
Chaos.
re-blip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the reversal
back.
of the
Chaos
blip.
of people returning.
Yeah.
Oh,
of people
right.
just
Well,
okay, to be fair-
rematerializing.
Yeah.
We did see my man, the tuba guy, get clobbered by the basketball team in Spider-Man.
Wait, when? Oh,
yeah. In Far From Home.
Oh, it's like one of my favorite bits where the band like respawns in the middle of the basketball game, just get beans. You just hear the little tuba go.
Right.
But it's kind of cool that it covers like one of the questions that you kind of have. What happened in that time passage? What could have happened? Some people died, like Maria Rambo, you know, and people who have re-blipped, you know, rematerialized, have no recollection of anything.
Right. It's
Right.
like time was just like immediate for them.
Yeah.
And they're the same age as they were, like at the
5
blip.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the same age. They did not age. So it's just that time has passed for everybody else and not them.
And we should explain too, right? Like Vision his entire existence is dependent on the Mind Stone, which has since been destroyed, right? So there's
Right.
absolutely no way for him to come back, even after all the Vanished have reappeared.
I mean, they implied
Or is
that was the
there?
whole thing, right? Like, because Shuri was trying to reconstruct his brain construct independent of the Mind Stone,
Right.
and of
Right.
course they were cut off before she could finish. Who knows if that means any of his personality is still intact or not in any kind
Within
of way.
the vibranium shell, we don't know.
With my
Right.
limited knowledge of the comics and the history of Scarlet Witch, it seems like it ends tragically, though. I mean, in all like canon forms of Scarlet Witch's story, it seems as though she ends up
She
flying
never
off
has
into
a happy.
Paris.
She has like that little happy turn with Vision, like when they have kids and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like everything else for Scarlet Witch in the comics is not happy.
She has a terrible life, actually.
Yeah.
Part of it too is that in the comics she's the daughter of Magneto. So
She still is, yeah, in this
in the
one.
comics.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that yet.
Not,
Right?
don't
not
know
in
yet.
the MCU. They're not. They're not saying in the MCU. They don't know it yet. I'm sure they're going to probably try to retcon that now that they have the rights to it. But in the comics, I think part of it is that she's a mutant and has like the supervillain mutant as a father. So I think that's part of like why she's just sort of a tragic figure.
But again, that doesn't apply to the MCU. So I'm
Yet,
just,
anyways.
Yet, if we're talking about like the comics, it even goes as far where she blips all mutant powers like off the existence of the universe. So like it's in that it becomes a whole thing. So I mean, if the comics has any indication on what's going to happen on the MCU, then we're in for a lot of just like
Not
heavy
looking
stuff.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, they might change it. Maybe they want to give this heroine a happy ending instead.
Right. I mean,
It's very
that's
possible. I mean,
to be
we've seen the
hoped,
Marvel
right?
Universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe usually tries to change up stories that comics fans are familiar with, just to keep them guessing a little bit or find some new angle on it, right?
Sure, right.
And I'll say, this is again, I think it is art in a pop culture shell. There are a lot of people that were getting very impatient and very frustrated with the first
what's
3
going on in the
episodes.
story,
and
I can see that.
yeah, because
Me and
it very
Caitlin
forcefully
included.
does not
What,
tell
Didn't
you.
know what was going on. Like, with no prior context.
What you mean the first 3 episodes?
The first 3 episodes, we
Yeah.
didn't quite know what was happening. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are we gonna talk about that
and
now?
so you are not alone, all right?
You're not
there's
alone.
a lot of
No,
people that were like,
I read online there was quite a bit of grumbling and a lot of scratching of heads.
Right.
People didn't know how to classify. Yeah, like they were like, so what are we watching? And then I heard like if you didn't like the first episode, then you need to skip straight to episode 4. And are we launching into this as a critique? Because like
We can do it.
We could.
Do you have
why
thoughts
not?
on
Let's
it?
do it. We only have a few
Okay.
minutes left, so let's do
yeah.
it.
well, fuck it. All right. So here's the thing. I agree that there is some brilliance there. I remember
Right.
on episode 4, I turned to Jen. I was like, this could have been so fucking good. Like this is brilliant, actually. Like the idea that now, no spoilers, because again, I haven't seen episode 5, but like this is a potential projection of someone's enhanced psychic abilities to create a world within our world.
Right.
I already love stories about worlds within worlds or worlds outside of worlds, so you got me there. And then on top of that, play with the history of of television genres, mixing them together through the decades and creating a meta narrative around that story to explain what's happening. I fucking love that. This is like Plato's allegory of the cave. Like shadows,
Right.
puppets on the wall where you think this is your reality, but it's so much bigger than that. My issue with it is, they're lucky that they have so many fans around the world
Who are
already.
willing to just go
willing
on the
to
ride.
stick through these
Go on the
3
ride.
episodes. Yeah. I just feel like they could have like done more. They could have done more to shape each episode towards the real narrative. And I know what they were trying to do was like put us inside the TV show, but after a certain point, I don't really care for the show. I don't care for the story within the story. You know what I mean?
Well, here's what I was going to say is that I don't think this, and I know we were talking about like barriers to enjoyment for certain things.
Yeah.
This show, and I'm going to say the rest of these MCU shows almost require that you be a fan of the MCU.
Yeah.
There's
I
so many things I did not even
figured.
know about
Yeah.
until after I researched them, and I was like, "Oh, that's right. So that was that person."
Because
Right.
like as MCU, like being knowledgeable about the MCU and watching just the first episode, I already knew what was going to happen. Like
Okay.
I knew what this was.
Sure. No, here's the thing. I kind of knew. We already knew. There's enough hints.
Right.
We know this is more than just a TV show, but I just feel like they could have done personally, I think they
Right.
could have done a better job of tying it all together.
See, that's
so
again,
can I
I
comment
get
to
that.
Yeah.
Really
yeah,
quick.
Yes.
yeah. I understand the feeling, and and for me, it was like, okay, I'm old, so all of these television tropes are things that I grew up on.
Right.
Yeah, I know. There's the nostalgia factor.
So that totally carried me on without me having to be.
I guess.
And honestly, I know a number of people who have not given a crap about any Marvel anything up until this point, but were interested in this because they were fans of I Love Lucy, they were fans of Bewitched.
Okay, now I know I was born then.
So
I was a fan of neither.
So now here's the thing, and this is
the pastiche of those, but is like
trying to
spot on. Go ahead.
Yeah. So having seen episode 5 and not spoiling anything, I'd love to hear what you guys think after episode 5, because there are so many things that became clear to me in that episode.
No spoilers.
And
no spoilers.
Why do we have to wait? You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to slog through 3 episodes before we get to the good stuff?
See, that goes back to my entire point. Is that like
to some people it is good stuff.
Yeah, this is good stuff. This is like we just want more of this. Like I just want more. I love the mystery, even though I knew where it was going. I just wanted to see more of these characters really, and the little Easter eggs that they drop were enough for me. I was like, oh shit, I wonder what that is. And that is partially because like I do have this knowledge of the MCU, which kind of counteracts what I was saying earlier about having like a barrier to entry for enjoyment in
it can be a barrier.
in World War Wonder Woman 84. And again, I didn't like I disagreed with the fact that it was a good movie, but like in the end, I'm not sure if this is good yet, but I still enjoyed it, and I think that's where me and Andy is frozen. And
he was just so in awe of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
But it does. I completely agree with you that it was. It felt if I were not a fan of either the MCU or like these old shows, it would have not resonated.
You also would have been like, "What the hell?" Okay.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But I just so happen to be a huge I Love Lucy fan. Literally,
I really enjoyed I Love Lucy. It brought some chuckles to me, when I was watching. I was like, oh, I understand that play. Like, I understand what they were going for. Like, everything is recognizable. It just, for me, like, the most interesting moments were when the facade slips, right? And I understood that, like, as soon as the facade slipped, we were alerted to the fact, like, this is the Truman Show. There is something larger than this going on. Luckily, because if the whole show were just this, I would be uninterested.
No, of course not. I mean, it couldn't. You couldn't. There's no meat on this bone if that's the entire show. But I think just the idea of that it already being there, that it might possibly be there, was enough for a lot of people. I'm not sure what we're gonna do, Rod, if we're gonna wait for Andy to come back, but
he's out. He's going to
poor internet connection, unfortunately. This is the reality of pandemic times podcasting.
Right.
I guess I'll give it a shot. I mean, I saw enough in episode 4. I was like, okay, all right, okay.
And yeah, I'm gonna refrain from saying anything else.
I'm sure episode 5 is amazing.
I mean, approach it as you would. I'm not
approach with neutral.
We'll get there.
Right. I'm not going to say it's amazing.
Damn, I don't want to watch it. Just kidding.
I'm going to say that there are things that happen that are very interesting, but like I am still very critical of everything. So,
great concept, though.
It was great concept. Super great concept.
Great concept. Yeah.
I mean,
any final thoughts about it before we close up the episode? I mean, I'm going to continue watching for sure.
Well, we're going to continue talking about it.
Yes, exactly, because we have a gun at our head. So I mean, that's why.
No, I'm down. I am down to see what happens. Honestly.
I'm eager to see how they will wrap this up. And
I want to know what story they're ultimately going to tell.
How many episodes is this going to be? It's like 9 episodes, right?
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, the good thing is that they're like 30-40 minutes. I mean, it's like Mandalorian, so it's not a huge time investment.
Yeah, but, I do like Paul Bettany.
He's great, isn't he?
That 20-year age difference, though.
It's readily apparent, isn't it?
He actually looks pretty good.
I mean, he's a robot, so he's 5, really.
Right.
I guess.
Which makes
We're
it,
like 20 years apart.
which brings up the question: if he could be any age, why is he bringing himself as an older dude? Who knows? Whatever. Not that being old is bad. So
He's good. Oh, so it wouldn't be creepy when he gets with Scarlet Witch. That's
right.
Yeah.
Andy, closing thoughts on
So I have
WandaVision?
just like my closing thought is WandaVision is doing for our era right now what Alfred Hitchcock did to cinema goers in the 1950s with Rear Window.
That is
Okay.
quite a
That's that
statement.
for now, and we're going into deeper depth.
Wow.
So, it's interesting. It's obviously, especially considering these first 3 episodes, WandaVision has been a little divisive, and that seems to be it as well over the Twitter and like internet zeitgeist. Definitely looking forward to see what they do with it, but without further ado, let's wrap up the show. So that's all we have to talk about. Our stream schedule, we will be back here same bat time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. here on the Geekish Network, Mondays. So Mondays, 8 p.m. Pacific time, I should say, on the Geekish Network. We are part of the Geekish Network, which is a whole host of other podcasts and streams, including Trek Table, Pod Squadron, if you're into Trek and Star Wars specifically, Geek Beast.
Oh, not
What was that?
not Trick Table.
Oh, Trek Table? Oh, I said Trek Table. And then...
Never mind.
Okay. But these things do exist. Nerdtastic, which is a deep dive on several geek IPs. Pots and Pan Geekery, which is a nerdy cooking show. And am I missing anything else, Rodney? I think that's all of them, right?
Geektastic.
Do you want to say what you're doing?
Geek Beast. I did.
Do you want to
say
say
that.
what you're doing on Pots and Pan Geekery tomorrow?
So for Pots and Pan Geekery, we are not on tomorrow. We are on next week. We are still working on our menu. We have something big planned. I think we might be having our season finale just to take a little break and move into season 2 because we have a lot of ideas. So, that's happening. Otherwise, do hit us up here on Geekish Network. We are on all the social media outlets. Thank you to everybody, the cast, the crew. Thank you to Digital Click. Thank you, Rod, behind the scenes. And we will see you next week. All right, folks.
Yeah, we're gonna raid Arnold Oddball, who is
Arnold?
our stage manager and part of Pots and Pan Geekery with Earl here.
I've heard that
Please
of
join
this
us.
guy before.
Please join
All right,
us.
folks. Have a good night.
All you new subs, use your emotes. Bye.
Peace.